like, bro, yeah, she got a kid. Look at his back. Oh my god. All right, today we got a debate for you. We got pro-life versus pro-abortion. It's gonna be a debate, and we're reacting to on pro-life 3rd edition. Change My Mind. This is StevenCrowder. Yeah, louder with Crowder, man.
Little table talk things. You know, you get the table out in public. He's sitting down. He has a little banner out in the front saying what his political view
Became a meme for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it's a meme everywhere. Yeah, but that really garnished a lot of attention, obviously. So, you know, people are going to be coming sitting down, expressing their views.
Just kept
going to see what he got to say. You know, share somewhat of what we feel about the topic.
Don't be afraid to show your viewpoints in the comments as well. We're going to be expressing ours, yo. It's all an open-minded conversation. Yeah. We might disagree, but, you know, it's all different viewpoints.
Yeah, let's hop into this.
Yeah.
That was a baby with its own... Listen, you might not like it. No, that was a baby. Let me tell you something. What you ended was a unique genetic code that had eye color, hair color, how tall it would be, how much it would weigh, its personality, proclivity toward mental illness, what kind of hair pattern to male pattern baldness. When you had that abortion performed, you eliminated all of that. That's a scientific fact.
Time for the latest installment of Change My Mind, where we rationalize
good way to start
controversial issues. Now, given the recent news, we decided to revisit abortion, and this go around, a lot of notable interactions took place.
Quick question for all the women. Of all of those women that have their hands raised, which one of you would rather be forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy to term?
I would. I would live it.
So it's like once they get pregnant, then it's just like damn, like now I'm not chilling right now. It's like I gotta like.
I could take a culture of your skin cells off, and I could be like, oh, that's a human because that's a culture of growing cells.
Nope.
See, like right here, the baby's not ready to go out into the world and like chill, you know. Like they're not ready to go out.
Are you for real with this? The baby's not ready to go out and chill? I'm gonna guess you're 2 years in college right now.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Effectively, it is a parasitic relationship between a fetus and a woman.
Yeah? You're studying philosophy?
Actually, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Parasitic.
As per usual, comment below your opinions on abortion and the current laws, along with which topics you'd want to see most discussed for future installments. Of course, if you want to keep these coming and ensure that long-form conversation like these continue, join Mug Club at louderwithcrowder.com/mugclub. And we'll actually have another installment with multiple conversations uploaded soon, but I wanted to give one particular interview its own attention in this episode because of all the Change My Mind segments we've conducted. This one became the most intensely personal.
Hi, how are you?
Meet Yara.
Before we get into
I'm
this,
really trying not to. People were
before we get into this, what's your thoughts on all this?
What's my thoughts on all this?
Yeah, give it from different viewpoints, different stands.
I don't necessarily have a viewpoint because I
never experienced it.
I haven't had a child with anyone.
We're not female too. It's not like it would be living in our body.
I don't know what it's like to carry a child in my body. I do hear people express the situation like the situation. It's like I understand that, and that's a certain situation that can be dealt with accordingly.
Exactly.
But it's like how often this is happening.
There has to be some form of level of self-responsibility. You know, my mom said it best. She said that she believes in pro-abortion, but she doesn't believe that abortion should be used as a plan B. You know, if you're gonna have sex, you are fully aware that there's a chance that you might have a kid unless you're unfertile, you know. But you shouldn't be going and using abortions when you could have a plan B given to you for free from Planned Parenthood and take those precautions. You shouldn't just go and use it as a means to just get rid of a kid. Just go ahead, drag it out by the foot and just take it out.
I mean, he pushes so heavily in certain communities now. I mean, that's why you see black comedians talking about it, like black women going out and getting abortions and all that. A lot of this abortion stuff. Abortions was something that was practiced within the United States with eugenics. Like, there were eugenics practices where they were trying to sterilize certain groups of women back in the day because they felt like their races were hindering the growth of the United States. That's what a lot of those practices came from.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of different viewpoints you have to see it from too. You know, you not only have to see it from the female viewpoint, you have to see it of a more religious person's viewpoint, because religions can also, You know, so abortion is seen as a sin in some religions. You know, it's a destruction of human life. And it's like, you have to take different religions into place. You have to take different lives into place. You can have someone running in power that has a certain religious belief and kind of presses it on, like the Europeans did with Christianity. You know, it's just they're kind of more forcing it on, being like, this is what's going on, because that's what people in power can do. I'm not saying everyone does that, but I'm saying that what people see as right and wrong is subjective, and they can use that to portray a different view for other people to see.
Bring my nose in there.
Oh, really? What's your name?
Yara.
Yara, Steven. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, Yara. So you just...
Before this, I just want to say no personal offense to either one of us. Like,
I appreciate that.
Your opinion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I know you just said you have to calm yourself down because people are hyping your nerves.
I do. I need to calm down for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you need? You were hoping there was some... you know, it's the legality of we can't necessarily give people water because then they go, I got salmonella, and then they point to me, you know.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
channel. So you seem like you're upset. Obviously, the sign is pretty clear. I'm pro-life. You've been listening to some conversations. If you disagree with my position, you're welcome to change my mind. They say you need to calm your nerves. What are you so upset about?
One thing that definitely really strikes a chord with me is the fact that a majority of women who have actually had to face the choice of abortion, it is because it was either necessary, it was medically necessary, or it was just a decision that really was the fork in the road of your future. And from my understanding, a majority of men, I understand they pay child support. I understand that a man is half what it takes to create a child. But when you are by yourself and you are alone and it is dark and you have to face, do I lose my future? Like, do I throw away my education? I can go back. Yeah, you always say I can go back, but that's twice as hard raising a child by yourself. I watched my mom as a single mother, and I don't want that life for myself. And abortion itself, it's a right. I understand the legalities behind late abortion, and I do not support it unless it is medically necessary.
Okay.
In the terms of it would kill the mother, the fetus is no longer viable.
Can I pause you real quick? Because you've gone to a few different things.
Yes.
First off, I appreciate you being so forthcoming with your personal story. You didn't have to do that, so I do appreciate that.
I understand a lot of people are not willing to talk about it.
Well, thank you very much. As far as yourself, if you don't want to be a single mother, go through that life, don't have sex, use contraception. See, I'm not against choice. I believe there are 4 choices. Abstinence, contraception, motherhood, adoption. I'm just against the, hold on one second, I'm just against the one that involves killing another human being. And I think it's very important here to go back to the very first thing that you said, which was most abortions are medically necessary, and then you said, or it's a fork in the road in determining your future. Conflating those, I think is pivotal because most abortions performed are not medically necessary. You're right with the second half. Most are performed because the mother at that point doesn't want to deal with the consequences of her previous actions.
Can I pause you right there real quick?
Sure.
Going back to the 4 choices that you just said, abstinence, which right now let's realistically look at the rates of teen sexual activity, that's not happening. And especially, no, hold on. In this state, we do not recognize sex education for what it is. We decide to teach abstinence instead of safe sex, and that's been proven to not work. Contraceptives, birth control is a hormone. It will change my hormone balance. It physically changes my body. And in some cases, it can do more harm than good. There are some women who can't take it, who can't handle it. And yes, I understand there's adoption as well.
Well, while we're dealing, by the way, with abstinence, it is a choice. I was abstinent until I got married.
You're a very rare few.
Well,
congratulations.
But just because it's rare doesn't mean that it's not a decision. Let me finish. Just because it's rare doesn't mean that it's not a decision. Contraception isn't only, hold on one second, contraception doesn't involve only hormonal birth control.
Okay, well that's true, you know. I've had a personal experience where I've had to have a girl take a Plan B, and you know there was some repercussions. She got sick, and say even like my aunt, she was on the pill since she was super young, and now it's very hard for her to have a kid. There's sometimes where people take the pill for a long period of time and lose their period. You know, sometimes people take it and they only have one period a month, and like it's different. It has some all types of like postpartum. Once a female gets an abortion, it doesn't stop there. Her body still thinks she's pregnant. She still produces milk. She still throws up. She still feels like crap in the morning. Like there's a whole other thing going on. Like when he says that they just can't handle their consequences for their actions and abstinence and stuff, there's also different kinds of consequences. If you get an abortion, you're not just scot-free. You feel perfectly fine the next day. You have to think of the guilt, having that in the conscience for the rest of your life. Some people, they don't care. But then there's people who are, that care more about it. There's thoughts of, what would my partner think if the partner is there? Or what if they agreed, there could be resentment in the relationship later down the line. There could be, but physical, they're still producing milk. They're still going to be uncomfortable. They're still going to be having those things as if they're having a kid. So I think there's different ways of them actually taking on their consequences of their actions. I don't think it's just abstinence is key for everyone.
It also involves a 50-cent rubber that you could get at a truck stop.
That rubber is not 100%.
You're right, it's not 100%. And every time you engage in sexual intercourse, you know that you are engaging in an activity that could lead to a baby.
And I understand that, but then there's also the fact
and then we said motherhood adoption. You can continue with those.
Well, I mean, if you want to get into adoption, let's look at the thousands of babies who are in the foster program right now. I mean, I understand not having late-term abortions unless it's medically necessary, but my whole point is women who are pro-choice make this decision, and anybody who wants to argue on a religious basis, at the end of the day,
I haven't.
Not you. I'm just saying a portion of people who do want to make that religious argument.
They're not here. That's irrelevant. So let's just talk about that.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Well, then in that case, on adoption, let's go back to that. Adoption. Okay. So those children are still in the foster care program right now. Theoretically speaking, let's say abortion was completely taken away. Mm-hmm. What happens with the influx of births that are going to occur? What's going to happen with the women who don't want those children, who initially didn't want that child, and do give them up for adoption?
Exactly. And then they're more impoverished. They're more likely to commit crimes.
Be adopted, just as the many thousands that are in it right now.
So, can I answer that? It sounds to me, first off, like a lot of absolvement of responsibility. But just because someone is a burden, is that how we place value on human life? If someone is more burdensome because they're unwanted, they have no intrinsic value as a human. Do you want to be realistic? No, I want to determine what.
I'm saying, like, in the sense of burdening.
Yeah.
We don't want to take the burden. I know it's a different topic, but it's just something similar. We don't want to take the burden of some of our mistakes on a day-to-day basis, but yet it's not as polar opposite as this right now. As in the sense of, like, I can't bring up other topics because then we're going to get off topic.
Yeah,
so
we'll get off topic.
Go ahead. Yeah,
no, it sounds like we're absolving women, both women and men, by the way. I don't know if you consider yourself, a feminist at all, or but I certainly wouldn't let men off the hook as you are right here. Listen, both women and men have a responsibility to either be abstinent or use proper contraception.
Yeah, but that's tricky. That's tricky because if the guy wants to keep the baby and the female doesn't, it's still the female's body and everything. And since it's attached to the female's body, the guy has no choice. So you can't say you're putting all blame on men. Because just like women, they know if they know they're gonna have sex without a condom.
Sex, just go out of your way to make sure that you're taking the steps to make sure you can't.
The precautions.
Like, hey, bro, you gotta put a condom on. I don't want no kids right now. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
It's like I can't feel it with a condom. Put a condom on. Either put a condom on or have sex. It's like just tell that dude, I ain't fucking without a condom. Now, if you want no girls, you feel like you got a good rod, and that's the type of chances you're taking.
It's just like to avoid STDs. It's not just you're gonna
cause and effect. If you're gonna have sex, you're gonna possibly have a baby.
Take the precautions. Same thing with STDs. If you don't want an STD, wear a condom. Take the precautions to make sure you don't get one. Be safe. Be tested. Be smart. Don't go and get some some person, you know, straight out the strip club, you feel me, and think you're finna get some wet. Next thing you know, your balls hurt.
Not aware of the contraception methods available to them.
Honey.
And then also be parents to provide a baby for adoption. And there are plenty of services out there. It sounds to me like absolving people from a lot of responsibility, and again, none of this is okay if it's a human life.
Some of those government
It's not a choice
services
if it's a
that
human
should
life.
should help deter women from wanting to have an abortion are not as easily acceptable as everybody thinks that they are. Just because you make a certain amount of money per year means that you don't qualify for the government aid, the health care programs that are available. I don't qualify for them. I slipped through the cracks because I am right in the middle. So because I had nobody to help me, and yes, I can be another person on government subsidies, as well as my child. But do you really want to pay for those subsidies? I don't have a child. I'm saying theoretically.
Okay.
Do you want to pay for my subsidies that I need
As a taxpayer?
I would be requiring from the government?
No, of course not.
You don't. No?
Exactly.
No.
Okay,
And I know where this is
so-
going now. We're going to go and say, well, you're not really pro-life unless you support insert socialized program here.
Not necessary.
The difference is I'm pretty
Exactly.
consistent
See?
across the board. I'm pro-life, meaning you cannot kill another human being inside the womb or outside of the womb. So I think the pivotal question becomes, you talk about the choice. Now we've provided 4 choices. You just believe.
But then you also have to determine what's a human being. We've cloned sheep, you know, we've cloned sheep and they're sheep. But now, if we make a heart from scratch using stem cells, if we're making a heart from scratch with stem cells and pump blood in there and make it pump, that's not a human being. It's just a heart. It's a heart that's pumping blood in and out.
A fetus in a vagina is a human being, but it's like mind your business. It's like, why are you? If she wants to get rid of the baby,
Why does it matter?
come on, it's not your child. It's like,
Why should your opinion dictate what someone else does? That's not open thinking. That's more dictatorship. You're letting your thoughts and putting them onto a group of people.
It's like what they're doing now with the censorship. Like, you can't even say certain things, or like you automatically like limit.
Like
how
why?
people
Why?
appear.
It's you know, it's just same thing with drugs too. People try to put drugs down, but it's like why? It's a person's choice in the end of the day what they're
Let's
gonna
just take
do.
a rational look at this. Whenever someone comes to the doctors, we can ask them, why are you here for an abortion? And it's like, I don't know. We don't need to ask them why. They're there.
Exactly. And then we don't need another kid who's more likely to commit crimes, who's more likely to not be contributing, who's going to struggle more likely with mental illness.
I gotta look into this and see what, like, who exactly getting abortions? Is this like more of like
Is it means to get
no, like is the abortion rate like more proportionate in the white population, the black population? Like, we already know there's like specific wealth
There's a
situations,
gap in wealth with
wealth
abortion.
situations within certain races, whatever, you know. So if there's a certain amount of black women getting this, it's because you already know they're in a situation where they most likely won't be able to necessarily give that child the best.
And then it's also culture, you know. If
Or if a white lady can't, I don't know, not necessarily white lady, but someone with like more money, like are they able to take care of the child, or just someone who just doesn't want to take the responsibility? It doesn't matter.
But even then, I would say even then it's not wrong. It's still their choice in the end of the day. And it's like if someone really wants to do something, they're gonna do it.
Like she said, but she said someone in the beginning of education is teaching people from a young age about practicing safe sex, what sex means, what having a baby means, and how it can hinder your life. Not necessarily hinder, but what it means in your life and what effects it can have. And teach kids about this.
It's deeply rooted to, you know, I don't know StevenCrowder personally, but he seems like he's doing good for himself. He has a good life. And I don't know how his childhood happened. Well, what happens to that kid who didn't grow up with the dad, doesn't know how to act like he's a man? When the time comes, he has sex, and he doesn't want to take care of the kid or something like that, so now he leaves him alone. He never had that father figure. There's a whole different...
Now that kid's going to grow up and do the same thing. So.
Exactly. If you keep it, it's just another non-contributing...
Yeah.
But it's all situational. Maybe he does do something good. We're not saying that it just cuts dead right there. It's a whole lot of...
This is a good video, man. We're going to react to more StevenCrowder in the future. Let us know if you want to see more of him down in the comments. Road to 10K subscribers. See you next time. Will be peace.